3 Roman legions, 20,000 of Rome's finest warriors, marching confidently through a dark Germanic forest. Within 3 days, almost none would survive. This catastrophe didn't come from superior numbers or better weapons. It came from one man's calculated deception and another man's fatal blindness. This is the story of how a single betrayal stopped the Roman Empire's expansion forever, redrew the map of Europe, and changed the course of Western civilization. September, year 9 AD. Governor Quinitilius Varus leads 3 elite legions through Germania. But look closely at this army. Something is terribly wrong. Soldiers chat casually, their armor packed away in wagons. Officers ride in comfortable carriages, discussing politics and promotions as if traveling through peaceful Italy. Carts overflow with fine furniture, expensive wine, delicate pottery, the luxuries of Roman high society. This isn't a military march, it's a moving festival. Varus sees these forests not as hostile territory, but as his personal province. He's governed compliant regions like Syria, where Roman law flows as smoothly as Roman wine. Why should Germania be different? The column stretches for miles, a fatal error. Front units cannot see the rear. Communication breaks down. Discipline evaporates in the comfortable illusion of safety. Among the Roman officers rides a young Germanic prince named Arminius, educated in Rome, fluent in Latin, a Roman knight. He dines at Varus's table, laughs at his jokes, offers tactical advice. Varus trusts him completely. Other Germanic chieftains try to warn the governor. They speak of gathering tribes, whispered conspiracies, unusual movements in the deep forest. Varus dismisses them all as jealous troublemakers trying to undermine his loyal friend. This trust will cost Rome 3 legions and an empire's dream. Weather begins to deteriorate. The sky darkens, rain begins to fall. The temperature drops. Nature itself seems to conspire against the invaders. Within hours, the weather transforms from inconvenient to catastrophic. Torrential rain turns dirt roads into rivers of mud. Heavy wagons sink axle deep, wheels snapping under strain. The forest closes in. Massive oaks and beech trees create a canopy so thick that daylight becomes perpetual twilight. Visibility drops to mere meters. The narrow path prevents the Romans from deploying their famous battle formations, the formations that conquered the Mediterranean world. Centurions shout orders that vanish in the storm's roar. The column fragments into isolated segments. Each group is alone in the green darkness, surrounded by sounds they cannot identify. Then Arminius makes his move. He approaches Varus with urgent news. He must gather additional Germanic auxiliaries to help clear the path ahead. The governor, trusting as ever, grants permission immediately. Arminius rides into the forest and vanishes. But he doesn't gather reinforcements for Rome. He rides to command an army of vengeance, an army that has been preparing for exactly this moment. Years of patience, years of studying Roman tactics from within their own ranks, years of waiting for the perfect opportunity. It has arrived. Arminius unites tribes that have warred with each other for generations. The Cherusci, Marsi, Chatti, Bructeri. He speaks in their tongues and in Latin. He promises them something they've never dared imagine: the total destruction of Rome's legions. They believe him because he knows the enemy's every weakness. Inside the Roman column, Germanic allies who have marched alongside the legionnaires suddenly draw their weapons. The betrayal comes from within, swift, silent, merciless. Throat cuts, stolen signals, chaos erupts before most Romans understand what is happening. The attack begins not with war cries, but with silent death from above. Javelins, stones, arrows, they rain down from the green walls on every side. Romans fall, pierced through without ever seeing their killers. Their shields hang uselessly on wagon sides. Their armor lies bundled and inaccessible. The Germanic warriors use hit-and-run tactics perfected over centuries. They strike vulnerable points, civilians, supply wagons, isolated groups, then melt back into the forest before the Romans can organize a response. Officers try desperately to form battle lines, but the trees prevent it. Soldiers stand alone or in small clusters, surrounded by an enemy they cannot see, cannot reach, cannot fight. Maddened horses break their harnesses and trample their own handlers. Wagons overturn, blocking the narrow path. The column grinds to a halt. The Romans are no longer an army, they're trapped prey. Night falls, temporary respite. As darkness comes, the attacks slow but never stop. The Romans manage to build a makeshift camp, nothing like their usual geometric fortifications, just a desperate earthwork thrown up by exhausted men. Inside, the atmosphere is suffocating. Wounded soldiers moan without proper treatment. Food is scarce. Most supplies have been abandoned. Officers gather in Varus's tent but have no plan. No one knows how to escape this nightmare. Dawn of the second day. Morning brings no relief. The column attempts to break through to open ground, but the terrain forces them deeper into the forest, exactly where Arminius wants them. They enter a bottleneck, steep hills on one side, impassable swamp on the other. The path is barely wide enough for a single wagon. On the hillside above, the Germans have constructed an earthen rampart hidden behind vegetation. This isn't spontaneous tribal warfare, it's engineered death. Projectiles rain down from the fortification. Romans try to storm the rampart, but slip on muddy slopes, becoming easy targets. Bodies pile up, hindering those behind. The Germans make rapid sorties down the hill, strike, kill, retreat. The Romans cannot retaliate effectively. Their heavy infantry, built for open field dominance, is helpless against this guerrilla nightmare. By the third day, hope dies. The rain hasn't stopped. The mud is knee-deep. Germanic attacks come from every direction simultaneously. The Roman formation, legendary across 3 continents, collapses completely. Varus finally understands the magnitude of his mistake. His trust, his arrogance, his blindness, all have led to this moment. He cannot survive this. He cannot face Rome with this defeat. Following Roman tradition, he falls on his sword. His senior officers follow his example, choosing death over capture. With their commanders dead, the remaining soldiers lose all will to fight. Some surrender, some flee into the forest. Most are cut down where they stand. The Germans seize the most sacred Roman symbols, the golden eagle standards that represent each legion's soul. Their loss is considered a disgrace beyond redemption. The massacre is total. Women, servants, camp followers, none are spared. The Germanic warriors offer captured Romans to their gods in sacred groves, hanging bodies from ancient trees. Only a handful of cavalry manage to break through the encirclement and reach the Rhine. They carry news that will shake Rome to its foundations. The 17th, 18th, and 19th legions cease to exist. Their numbers are retired forever, never to be used again in Roman military history. When Germanicus leads a Roman force back to the site 6 years later, the forest still bears witness to the catastrophe. Bones lie everywhere, scattered, piled, bleached white by time and weather. Broken weapons, shattered armor, skulls nailed to trees as trophies. The earth itself seems darker here, as if blood has permanently stained the ground. The soldiers collect their fallen comrades' bones with reverence, unable to distinguish rank or name. All are equal in death. This is the only mass battlefield burial Rome ever performs for its own soldiers, a gesture of mourning unprecedented in Roman history. When news first reached Rome, Emperor Augustus, the man who transformed Rome from republic to empire, is devastated. For months, he refuses to cut his hair or beard. He's seen banging his head against door frames, crying out in anguish, "Quinitilius Varus, give me back my legions." The consequences reshape Europe forever. Rome abandons all plans to conquer Germania. The Rhine becomes a permanent border, not just a river, but a cultural divide that lasts 2,000 years. Germany remains free, preserving its language, culture, and tribal structure. If Rome had conquered these lands, modern German, English, and Scandinavian languages might not exist. Latin could have spread northward as completely as it spread through Gaul and Spain. The battle creates Europe's north-south cultural divide, Germanic versus Latin, which shapes the continent through the Middle Ages and into modernity. Arminius becomes a hero to his people, but his own relatives eventually kill him, fearing his growing power threatens their traditions. Yet his legacy endures. Germanic tribes continue resisting Rome for centuries, eventually crossing the borders and contributing to Rome's fall 400 years later. 3 days in a forest, 20,000 dead, an empire's expansion halted forever. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest proves that even the mightiest empires have limits, that arrogance blinds more surely than any storm, that betrayal cuts deeper than any sword. Rome learned too late that you cannot conquer what you do not understand. The cultural boundaries drawn in that forest still shape our world today. The languages we speak, the nations that formed, the very structure of European civilization, all influenced by 3 days when nature, cunning, and Roman arrogance collided in the darkness of the Teutoburg Forest. What do you think? Was it Arminius's genius or Varus's foolishness that changed history? Perhaps it was both, and that's what makes this story timeless.